Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. Anything that matters to you, we've got it covered here on the show. I'm Sunanda Jaiseelan. On the show tonight, part one of a two-part special series we're talking about the IPO market. Should you be looking at an IPO? Should you be investing in an IPO? Why should you be looking at an IPO? All of those questions being discussed on the panel today. We've got three experts, one person who's a very well-known name, not just here on LOT as a mentor who's joined us previously, but someone who's known famously for having made the kind of returns that he did with Oyo way back in the day. Let me dive right in and introduce our panelists. First up, we have Sanjay Mehta, founder of 100x.vc. We have Satyen Shah, head investment banking, Edelweiss Financial Services, and Piyush Nagda, head investment products, Prabhudas Leeladhar. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time. And let me first ask the quintessential question that we get very often here on the show from our investors, is open to all three of you. Why should an investor look at the primary markets versus, say, for instance, looking at a VC or looking at private equity, or, for a smaller business, perhaps bootstrapping in the first couple of years? When and why should they be looking at tapping the primary markets if you're an entrepreneur? Sanjay, if I could come to you first.
Sure. Thank you, Sunanda. So, entrepreneurs, end of the day, has to continuously raise capital. And the final goal is to get, listed on an exchange. So primary market gets them that large pool of retail equity investors, and plus it creates liquidity for existing investors. So in that sense, it works both the ways. Existing investors are able to sell their shares, discover the right valuations, and new retail equity investors get an opportunity to ride the success or the growth what the startups are providing. We look at various line of IPOs which are happening across, and it's gratifying the way SEBI has relaxed the rules and made this possible now for Indian startups to create an IPO listing. So amazing journey for entrepreneurs and investors, both alike, for next decade.
Okay, Piyush, do you want to also give us your opening comments?
So there are two types of investors typically. One set is the investors who have high risk appetite and they want to dabble into the ideas which are still very uncertain at a very fantasy stage, a very early stage, and they do it as an angel investor through VCP route and all that stuff. And then there are a set of investors who look for a lot of certainty. So they look for the listed space where the company has already been discovered, their financials are already in public domain, and there's some visibility which is already there, and that's the big difference. The high risk appetite investors who love uncertainty, but they are looking for a very big, an idea which can be of a great magnitude. They will go for the startups, and the moderate risk investors will look at the listed space.
Okay, Satyen, do you want to add to this?
I think two perspectives here. One is from the company side, why should they go public? I think it's part of their evolution. As the company keeps growing, there are various modes of capital raise that they'll do, right from VC angel funding to private equity, late stage funding, and maybe eventually even IPO. In today's times, you are also seeing companies not necessarily taking the PE route and straight away going public when it's of the right size and scale. And the other cut is from an investor point of view. Why should investors look at IPO? I think it's a great way to be part of the large story unfolding, in India, which is the India growth story. IPOs per se, I think, have also over the last few years left enough value on the table, for incoming investors at the time of going public. So it's a great occasion for even the retail HNI as well as the entire public market investor set to participate in the growth of those companies.
I'm quite curious, and while our viewers, of course, would know most of these IPOs which are coming out, I just want to read out a list of a few of the IPOs just for the benefit of our viewers. Zomato, of course, the most talked one. We have Nykaa. That's again another big one that everyone has been looking at. You have LIC, and LIC being in the news in terms of everything that's been going on. But you also have a lot of smaller businesses that have been looking at the IPO route. So, to answer the question of why, would you say that some part of relaxation that is being made by SEBI earlier this year when it comes to listing of startups is playing a huge part when it comes to the slew of IPOs we're looking at? Satyan, this is specifically to you, open to the other two as well, but is this perhaps in some part pushing more and more businesses to look at the market?
So I think, the regulators obviously played a very positive role in always coming to relax rules to do what is right from an investor point of view. The way we see markets today is there is definitely a lot of liquidity, okay, and investors on that side are clearly looking for good quality ideas to invest in. Whatever is listed is already in their visibility, in their they already know about them. So when new companies come, there is this extra bit of this thing to look at those companies from an investment point of view, and I think that's clearly. So if you ask me specifically what see, all these companies that have come, all the names that you took are much larger companies, okay, so you've also seen some of the smaller companies coming, but yeah, it's a great time for some of them to come because as I said, there is very strong liquidity. There is clear focus on new ideas to invest in, which is a big attraction. And some of these are very well priced. From a company point of view, I think doing an IPO is a great opener to a lot of things. When you are listed, you are suddenly visible. Your brand is visible. Your avenues of raising capital are visible. Plus, it's a great way to attract talent, and definitely there is value unlocking. So it does provide exit to a lot of existing shareholders that are there.
Sure. Sanjay, speaking from the other side, which is when you're talking IPOs, you're obviously also talking about the exit which is being provided to investors like yourself. Any sort of trends that you're looking at for investors in terms of the exits that we've been looking at for the past couple of IPOs or from 2020? Anything you can comment on?
Today, any investor, when they are investing in early stage, there's quite a lot of risk which is there, and the major risk is illiquidity. Right, it's very difficult to get exits with the unlisted space. And secondly, taxation are different in India for unlisted equities and listed equities. So even if you get an exit, you end up paying almost double the capital gain tax than a listed equity. In every aspect, if you look into it, IPOs were non-existent for startup investors a year before, right? And everything started changing as now SEBI has relaxed the rules. Previously, we saw a lot of flight of capital happening outside of India, startups going out and listing in US and other geographies. This is a great move. I think the company or the assets which are grown in India or working for Indian consumers are now seeing across an opportunity to create that value creation in India itself. So I believe this is a great journey which we have begun across. Zomato IPO is the inflection point. You will see across another possible 100 odd IPOs by 2030. And the top listings which are today the traditional companies so-called of India would be replaced across in a decade time with this new age internet companies. As what we saw across in US and other geographies, where new age companies, today Zomato has proved across a couple of things. One, there is a validation saying that the IP or a tech is far more valuable than the physical assets, right? and more we are going to see that happening across with Indian startup getting listed. Right, most of them would not have physical assets, but great tech, customer base, data what they would have collected, and the business, for example, Zomato was resilient during pandemic, while traditional business floundered. It was quite resilient in the pandemic times. So
Yeah.
it's a journey which is well begun.
Gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick break on that note. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow and Tonight. We're continuing to analyze the IPOs that we've seen here in the country, what you should keep in mind if you're looking at the IPO route or if you're looking at investing. All of that on today's panel. You made a great point that you're finally seeing internet companies creating value for domestic stakeholders. Do you think this is going to be the start really of the trend that you're going to see, the future Facebooks of India, for instance, which are going to be creating value first and foremost for domestic investors?
Absolutely, Sunanda. You look at the kind of appetite consumption of internet has happened with Geo coming in, the kind of data cost which we have across. This is a journey, as I mentioned, across. We have accelerated in pandemic times. Education today has moved mostly online. The last 2 years has moved across that we don't need physical assets and education can be done online. While I'm not saying that everything will be online and the offline world will shut down, but idea here is the consumer behavior now has changed across, and people are accepting, everything which is going online. I mean, look at traditionally stock exchanges itself. The brokerages were physical, and now everything is digital, right? For even the brokers, the whole exchange, the capital market is working online. I mean, it has changed the way things happened across. Today, you don't need to be physically located anywhere, anytime. You are able to trade. So things are system, and this space is just going to get accelerated. So as I mentioned across this, today this is an inflection point, and I'm so happy to be part of this whole journey. I'm so excited and thrilled. The next 10 years are just going to be awesome for startup investors and entrepreneurs.
Okay, Satyan?
If I may just add, I think we've clearly seen the market maturing from what they were earlier. Where a company which had revenues but profitability was not there, could they tap markets? I think that has definitely changed over the last few years, and investors have become a lot more mature, and they are seeing the more longer term aspect that look, if I think the pandemic, the one big thing it has done is it has forced people to take the online, go and try the online channel. So guys who are already there have grown. Guys who are not there also were forced to go and do that, and I think that's been a big mindset change amongst people as users also, which is also driving growth for everybody who's moved up to the online side.
Okay, Piyush, while we've of course been talking about the company point of view, that is, how do you know you should be looking, and why should you be looking as a business at the primary markets, purely in terms of an investment, from an investment point of view, we're looking at a slew of IPOs. Could you run our viewers through a checklist, if possible, saying that these are the things that you should be looking at to determine and gauge for yourself whether this is a good investment bet?
So it's a great question, Sunanda. When we look from an investor's standpoint of view, majority of retail investors just look at listing gains. They're not very much bothered about what business company is doing and all that, fundamentals around the company.
Yeah.
But when we come across matured investors, and that's what we keep trying to educate our investors on, is that you have to understand the business company is in, the kind of risk that business carries, and the leadership team around that company. Whether this leadership can just double the business, they're good people, or they are extraordinary team of people who can, take the company 100x. So these couple of parameters around a companies are very important, along with the purpose for which they are raising the capital, whether it's really for the growth or they're just trying to repay somebody. So there are a lot of things which basically bundle across when you look this whole IPO story from an investor's standpoint of view. But yes, I mean, clearly when we deal with them, a majority of retail guys, they still actually look at the listing gains as the prima facie indicator of whether they want to participate in that particular IPO or not.
So would you say it's a large part of it is also based on gut instinct, or is there no room for gut instinct when you are investing in the markets? Because like you're saying, it's a combination of pricing, it's a combination of what the management looks like, future growth, etc.
Yeah, it's a mix of so many things. And when you look at retail, there's a lot of emotion which actually plays out in the market space, and there's a lot of FOMO also, that if I don't apply, I'll be left out. This looks like a great idea. And then there are a set of investors who are very, very clear whether they want to touch this IPO on valuations. They try to understand the company and the leadership team, etc., etc. So everything comes together, and then they drives the overall sentiment.
Go ahead, Sanjay.
See, idea is, let me take this example of Zomato, which we have a case right now. There would be investors who would think about, valuations are high, this is like crazy, the company is making loss and stuff. And there have been so many instances in past where, startups are all about growth. So valuations are not dependent on profit or loss. It's all more dependent on how quickly the companies are growing across. And we have seen in West, the company's ability to generate profits at a inflection point is very high, be it Amazon, Facebook at a size. Now, if you look at the, any foreign institution investors who would like to, let's say, put $1 billion into an Indian internet company, they don't have any choice, right? The large base of Zomato gives them an opportunity to allocate large amount of companies which have a very limited base. They will not be able to attract the kind of institutions what Zomato is attracting and will attract in future. And the headroom growth from this 10 billion to 100 billion is quite visible. So idea is, everybody needs to evaluate how large the opportunity is. Everything is dependent on the market size, the opportunity, what we are looking into it. So that's going to be the first parameter. The next comes across, the team and, the leadership, as what my colleague mentioned, who are driving this, who are the investors behind it, who sits on the board, the company, that are going to be critical. And lastly, what I see across is, the business model. So if there is no market, irrespective how good the team is, it's not going to make money. So first comes is the market opportunity.
Piyush, in fact, I just want to pick up on something that you said, and I want to come back to you on that. Why should an investor look at investing in IPOs? If there is one argument that you could make, given that you could invest in stocks that have some sort of legacy, Indian investors can invest in foreign stocks as well now. So if there is one argument that you want to make for why a retail investor should look at an IPO, what would it be?
So clearly the biggest outlier could be that when you look at IPOs, you get an idea which could become a 100x idea, say 5 years or 10 years down the line. And when you look at already listed companies, a lot has been discovered. Of course, these companies are also growing, but there are people who want to bet their money on those companies which have a much larger potential, the multiplier of growth, as Sanjay Bhai said, that if the market opportunity is huge and there's a company which basically can really grow at a 10x, 20x or a 30, 40x kind of a speed, then possibly this investor who is looking at this IPO at the entry point, it's a very favorable situation for him or her to stay invested for next 4, 5, 6 years in this particular idea, for example, and have a multi-bagger in his portfolio, because investor look at these 2, 3, 4 ideas in everybody's portfolio, which can literally change the returns perspective or the IRRs of the portfolios.
Gentlemen, completely out of time on this panel. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Our contact details coming up on your screens as we speak. So is the trend showing that more businesses right now are preferring to go the IPO route versus raising funds from VCs, PEs, etc.? Is that possibly something that we can say that that trend that we're looking at?
You will be IPO ready when you have reached a certain size. Otherwise, a lot of these institutional investors won't touch you in the main board. So now there is another segment called SME platform in exchanges, which offer you, the small companies an IPO route. So we have seen in past that many of these mid-sized companies, these are not small companies, they're still mid-sized companies with a decent size of their balance sheet, and these guys are opting for SME route as well. And then the companies which are in a very early stage, they don't have a choice. They have to go to angels and VCs or the seed funders initially at a very ideation stage, or when they're in a very, very early stage of their journey.